Full disclosure, news and commentary number 18? You get it. Hey, holy balls, what a week, what a week, what a week. Maybe the biggest weekend in Georgia-ish wrestling in a long time. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also the biggest story in Georgia wrestling in a long time, Georgia-ish. We're going to talk about Gunnar Miller and Marco Stunt and the howls from the wrestling world about it. Crap. We're going to talk about all that shit. But none of that has to do with our commentary. Our commentary, what can I say about it except to say, crap, sorry, I left the volume on a Nightcrawler. Probably my favorite movie right now. Watch it all the time. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, you are the shit. Anyway, sorry about that. Our commentary at the end is going to do almost a complete 180 from the rest of this video. What do I mean by that? I don't know. Are you intrigued? Great. Stay tuned. Hey, Logan, Patreon subscriber. Hey, Ben, Patreon subscriber. Hey, Myron, Patreon subscriber. Hey, Double Dropkick Show, also Patreon subscriber. Thank you guys. Look, I remember to mention it in the beginning of the video. And I didn't have to lie about Logan's penises this time in the comments. Oh. Anyway, if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, please do so. I do drop the videos of the unsubstantiated rumors and deep dives into drama. I've done 3 of them so far, and the people who watch them actively look forward to them to the point where they go like, when are you going to drop the video? When are you going to drop the video? When are you going to drop the video? I'm talking about shit in those videos that very few know about and nobody else is talking about. Not in public anyway. They're that damn good. So go to my Patreon. And now, shit. Let's get into this shit. Firstly, let me see. Good. I wanted to hear about Peach State, and they did text me their crowd. They didn't get their report in. Fuck's sake, get your reports in. But Peach State has earned a bit of a respite from me. They're certainly big time enough that I owe them the courtesy and respect of getting that crowd number, because they deserve to be part of this biggest weekend in Georgia wrestling in a long time. APW leading us off, drew 89. Now you're saying big fucking deal. The opposite. That is a big fucking deal, you sarcastic prick. Good for APW. There was a time where their average crowd was in the 30 to 40 range, and now their average crowd hovers near 100, and for bigger shows, much more than that. Good on them. We need groups like APW. We need them. So I'm glad they're around, and I'm glad they're going strong, and I'm glad they're still putting out the stars of tomorrow and still training guys the right way and all of that good shit. AWE drew more than 100. Congrats to AWE. Onward and upward. More importantly than that crowd number, though, according to Lawrence Goodman, it was a great show. And Chip Day had a great match. Which reminds me, what am I going to drop tomorrow? I know I've been promising a Be Kind review, but honestly, I've delayed putting it out because there's something very special that I'm doing for that Be Kind review. And honestly, I want all of the Gunnar Miller, Marco Stunt stuff to blow over completely before I do that review, which will be sort of a review in part of 60-Minute Broadway. I'm going to look at the tapped out guys. I'm also going to look at the writings of Jeff G. Bailey. And I want to give all that stuff its proper due credit. So what's the video I'm dropping tomorrow? It's a P list. It's the top 10 wrestlers in Georgia, because I think this last weekend was so significant that it has completely shuffled and shook up that top 10. Some names are going to drop out. Some names are going to rise big time. Some names at the top are going to fall. So we're going to drop that top 10 wrestlers in Georgia list tomorrow. That's exciting, but now let's get into it. Let's get into it. Crap. Sorry, I'm getting news. That is a big deal, period. It really is, period. I didn't think about it like that, period. Yeah, comma, it's the equivalent of somebody important showing up at your house trying to recruit you, period. It really is, period. The fuck was that about, Steve? I'm talking to somebody for whom big things are fucking happening. We're breaking it all down. By the way, the first person to pay me directly through my PayPal, link below, to advise them on wrestling happened today as well. So I'm awfully chipper. I look like this because I have not really changed or anything since I had my second workout of the day. But fuck, I was promising to get into it. Let's fucking get into it. Yeah? Let's talk about Peach State. No show reports up. That sucks. But I got an accurate crowd count. By the way, spoiler alert, the Platinum Challenge number 2, where all 4 groups, I challenged them to put out real and accurate crowd numbers, and it appears they all did so. Way to lead from the front, guys. Way to lead from the front. Peach State, 122 this past Saturday in what was told to me was an incredibly good show that moved things forward. For Peach State, I think they're resolving their venue issue problem away. That didn't make any sense. The only thing they need to have in place is resolving their venue issues. Once they do that, I think they will rise back up as far as crowd goes. Now, show quality obviously is there, and it's good for them. And honestly, it's weird that they went from the league not too long ago to the one that's kind of the dark horse league. And they are a dark horse, but they are in the running. And that's what really counts. Congratulations to Peach State. AWE drew north of 100 not too long ago. Remember, to put it in perspective, Combat drew 20, right? And then the first AWE show back in the midst of all the bric-a-brac with murder feuding with seemingly everybody in the world drew 50 to 60. But what was seen as a positive move. And now they're over 100. And their hardcores are back. And they seem to be in a good rhythm. And the hierarchy return got the reaction that they wanted. Now, will they use the hierarchy to really put other people into play? We're going to have to wait and see. But so far, you can't consider that anything but a fucking triumph. And Peach State, drawing a good crowd and setting the stage for doing bigger crowds and rebuilding the right way and having the right people on top and having angles that are obviously properly developing, that's a fucking victory too. 2 for 2. How'd the other 2 do? Southern Fried drawing 290, outdrawing their enemies. And yeah, they're the only group that has direct enemies right now. We're going to talk about that in a bit, believe it. And now they're at 290. Good on them. Good on them. Yeah, people think I have it out for Southern Fried. I have it out for everybody. Don't know if you missed that fucking memo. But Southern Fried drawing 290 with a show that had genuine heat and a show that established fucking heel strength can't be considered anything other than a victory. To do a big move where the direction of the company is going to go until the next shindig, perhaps, and you do it in front of a big audience, is a great thing. Fucking victory there, 3 for 4. Now, Scenic City. Early reports about their crowd on the first night were not favorable. But then people kept coming in the door. And they had a lot of students there. So they drew 275-ish. Right? Putting them in the range of what they did last year on the first night. Thank God for that. Because if they got less, they would have been in the fucking shitstorm. But they managed to do it. They managed to pull it in. And the first night went better than the first night last year. That's our point of comparison. We're not even going to talk about year one and year two. Year one and year two, they were phenom. And they're trying to get back there. But on that first night, they had some great moments. And they had some great matches. And they really needed that. They also had things that did not work. Right? But I'll give this to them. They kept swinging for the fences. And you're going to have strikeouts. Yeah, Babe Ruth, when he set the home run record, also had the most strikeouts in the league. It's just the nature of the beast when you go big. And all three of those guys, right, Dylan Hales, Scott Hensley, Matt Griffin, the only knock I really have against that triumvirate is that they're all kind of conservative by nature. Right? But obviously they took some chances in booking. I ain't mad at it. Night 2, the crowd wasn't significantly bigger. I trust Rob Rod when he puts it at 300 and Larry as well. We'll say 300. But they had less students and more people that were there to see a great wrestling show, and they delivered for the most part. Now, are there possibly negative stories? Yeah, but those are kind of conjecture and up for debate. I think at the end of the day, the right guy won, or at least one of the right guys. The guy that I secretly wanted to win didn't win, but then he had two of the great matches, and as Larry aptly pointed out, lost to the eventual champion and raised his stock as much or more than anybody else, and that's Slim J. Again, let me pimp it. Top 10 wrestlers in Georgia list coming out tomorrow. People moving up, people moving down, people falling off the list, and perhaps one or two people that are going to be on the list that weren't before. Just saying. Yeah. So Scenic City overall, and you throw in Scenic City Future that drew 65, and you throw in Crux, which is not one of their shows, but a show that happened around there. I drew 120. How was the weekend overall? Huge. A fucking undeniable success. And I gotta admit, I'm a little shocked about that. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't a success. It was. We can debate about different things, and certainly people chimed in with their opinions with me all weekend long, and I bandied back and forth, and pictures were shown of the first 3 rows on that first night and the number of empty chairs, and that certainly existed and happened. But I'm sure, and of course, you know, it's Scenic City's job, it's the brass's job to tout this undeniable success and to say that they're the most important show in the Southeast. And it's other people's job to fucking try to take them down. Where's the truth? Somewhere in the middle, but not quite in the middle. I'd say it's leaning more towards the Scenic City rah-rah group. It was a success. Yeah. Is it still the most important show in the Southeast? I think if you take everything into account and treat it all as an event, yes. And it has less to do with the quality of the show to me than the overall experience. Now, as they continue to add shows, and they're doing that tank show in October, I believe, and you know, the Rumble and all that other horse shit, I don't know how successful the shows outside of that weekend are, but if the charge to Matt Griffin, Scott Hensley, Dylan Hales was put on a successful event, they did it. Whew. Are there still aspects of it that feel really self-important and aren't accomplishing as much as they think it is? Perhaps. But I got to make a thumbs up, thumbs down call, and Scenic City as an event is successfully pulled off. And they can lay claim to it's the most significant, I wouldn't say significant show of the Southeast of the year, but that weekend as an entirety is. Am I disappointed they didn't do a roast? Absolutely. But they obviously want a clean show. Did I think they missed out on an opportunity? I'm a little shocked Gunnar Miller in some way, shape, or form didn't show up. Maybe Gunnar Miller didn't want anything to do with it. I don't know. It just seems like there's an opportunity missed when Gunnar Miller is a stone's throw away and Marco Stunt is in the building. And you don't do something that neither one of those parties managed to do something. I think that would have launched Scenic City into the stratosphere, not as far as future bookings or a future match between Marco Stunt or Gunnar Miller or any of that horseshit. I'm just talking about putting them back on the national scene and spotlight and level of importance. That opportunity was definitely missed, but again, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but are they the most significant event over a weekend in the Southeast? Yes. Bold statement. We're moving on. Rhino seminar in Jasper, Alabama. We know how I feel about seminars. Fuck them. But I actually think this one serves a useful purpose. I think Rhino would be an interesting guy to talk to, and I think for Jasper, Alabama, it's a good get. Go to that shit if you're nearby. Gunnar Miller versus Marco Stunt. Lots of people asking what I think about that shit. And is this where I go, you'll have to wait for Be Kind review? No, I'm not going to say that. How it was handled overall. I think everybody, from Marco Stunt and the little things that he did at Scenic City, to all the people chiming in from the Young Bucks to a legion of wrestlers to Gunnar Miller himself, who went off on that 60-minute Broadway, kind of the shock of almost everybody, I think. How do I think each person handled it? I think everybody handled it fucking great. I do. Everybody who chimed in, no matter how self-serving their reasons were, I think the level of earnestness, I think the level of emotion, I think the level of how much people really cared about what was at stake. They made something out of nothing. That goes from Gunnar Miller to AEW to Marco Stunt to the legion of indie wrestlers who felt the need to chime in, as they always fucking do. Gotta love the boys. To everybody who had a stake in it and made a stake in it and had an opinion about it. I think everybody handled themselves perfectly great. Does that shock you? It shouldn't. The shit mattered. That's what I learned from that whole thing. Gunnar Miller taking off. Ace commented first, but it didn't really get the reaction because who fucking cares? But Gunnar Miller, and the louder people got about saying how unimportant he was, the more that it was clear that he was important and made himself more important. And Marco Stunt went from a signing that was just designed to maybe reward a kid and in the future let people know that if you participate in our bullshit battle royal, see, you can get a spot, which is a myth, right? But now they've made it a big, huge deal. And now those battle royals, when they do them in the future, will matter all the more. And more indie guys will turn out of the woodwork to do them for cheap or free because Marco Stunt. It's